Hey everybody, this is Chris, also known as Gemelli. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about the Hollows virtual tabletop. This is the weird, janky Google Sheets thing that I set up so that people can play Hollows with each other online over Discord. Can you do it without this? You totally can, right? You can use Tabletop Simulator's got a mod. You can just take a camera and point it at a grid layout and show people that. You can use something like Owlbear Rodeo or even just like a simple whiteboard app and just kind of move tokens around. This is available if you want the tool to do a little bit of the heavy lifting for you as far as tracking how players are doing with their resolve and their wounds, tracking entity health as well, threat on the map, and most importantly, just kind of handling the dice rolls in a place where everyone can see the roll and where you get a little bit of help as the GM and as players understanding how to interpret the rolls. So as you're learning the game, this is a good way to kind of help provide a little bit of training wheels so that you can get into playing the game without spending as much time looking up rules. So how do we get started? We're going to start by making a copy of this. So this is the GM's job, right? You're going to be setting up the your copy of this. This is assuming you've already got your own Google Drive account. You've already logged into it at some point, and you're ready to go. Assuming all of that is true, you'll go to this URL, which I'll put down in the description, which is tinyurl.com/Hollows VTT, which stands for Virtual Tabletop. You go to this URL, and you're going to get prompted asking you, do you want to make a copy of this? Right? And it's going to give you a little heads up. There is a script file that you're going to be copying. What's that for? That's going to be the bit of the workbook that's going to handle the dice rolling and some of the automation. I am happy at any point to walk anyone through this. I wrote all the code myself. There is nothing at all that is problematic or that will expose any information. If you are technically inclined, you can also click on the View App Script file and look over it yourself. There's a lot of it. I apologize. I have a problem with a little bit of obsessive compulsive behavior, which you will realize as we go into this. But for now, let's assume you've done that. You're going to go ahead and click on Make a Copy. You will then get prompted. Google Drive is going to let you know that first of all, it's going to create the new workbook for you, it's doing this in the background, and then it's going to show you the new copy, and you'll have a couple of prompts. The first thing you'll see, assuming that this happens in a timely manner, there we go, is up at the very top of the file. There's going to be a little thing that shows up saying that some of these formulas are trying to send and receive data from external parties, right? And specifically, what that is there's a little bit of code down here which is going to check your version of the workbook against the master version that I've maintained just to let you know, is there a newer version? At this point, we've just copied it fresh. There isn't. We'll click on Allow Access. If you're worried about that, you don't have to. The only thing that it'll stop from working is this little bit down here that says the sheet is up to date. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that you as the GM can use the dice rolling. Again, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. There'll be some things you'll have to do manually instead of letting people click to roll dice if you don't do this. But each player who wants to be able to use this tool to roll dice will have to do this. They'll click on the button that says Authorize. It's going to go ahead and let you know authorization is required, just like it said on the tin. You'll click OK. It'll ask you to choose which Google Drive account you want to set up with. I'm choosing myself. And then it'll tell you, basically, this is going to allow you to access spreadsheets that this application has been installed in. What does that mean? It means that the only thing this script can access is this workbook you've just copied, right? So if you've got other files on Drive, this script is explicitly forbidden from looking at any data on there. So again, happy to answer questions on that. For now, let's assume that you're comfortable. Click Continue, and you should get this. Testing permissions, congratulations. For reading this, it means it's working. Now, a couple of caveats on this. People who are using mobile web browsers, like on iPad or on a tablet, Android, whatever, the scripting stuff does not typically work well or at all on those browsers. Sucks, and I'm looking for ways to work around that. So if you're planning on playing through those environments, there'll be some stuff that just doesn't work. You'll still be able to follow along. You'll still be able to use the tool to manage your character sheet, to track health, things like that. You won't be able to roll dice, and that it is what it is. Other thing to point out is that browsers that work well with this, Google Chrome, as you might expect, the desktop version of that works pretty reliably. Firefox works semi-reliably. Edge works pretty reliably. And then you get into Safari and other browsers that it's a little bit less likely that it's going to work. So best thing to try out is if you can log into Google Drive in a separate browser, separate browser tab, and then try clicking authorize. That works for some people. But let's assume that you're using Chrome. You've sold your soul to the good folks at Google. And when I say good folks, you have to assume the air quotes. And you're ready to move forward. So we've done the first things. Now the second thing you're going to do once you've actually authorized the script is you're going to open up access to this file so your players can make changes. All right. Where you're going to do that is up here in the share corner of the screen. You click on share. A couple of ways you can do this. One way is to simply ask all of your players for their Google account information, and go ahead and just give it to them individually. What I almost always do, because I am a deeply lazy person, is I say that anyone with the link is able to edit the file. Now, anyone with a security background, your red flags are popping up all over the place. And yes, that means if you copy this URL to anyone else, they'll be able to get in and muck with your workbook. Right? Not ideal, but again, if you are deeply lazy like me, fastest way to get people access to this. And then all you've got to do once you've done that is you go share and copy link, and that'll make the link available. Paste that in your Discord chat or send it via email to your players. They'll all be able to get in and make changes to this workbook. All right, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. First thing we're going to do now is we're going to set which Hollow we're going to run. Now currently this is designed to run the 3 basic Rowan, Rook, and Deckard adventures. So we've got the Grisham Priory Quick Starter, we've got the Steel City and Morningmire, which are both part of the basic rules, and then we've got 2 of my own Hollows. We've got the Forever Fair and Gardens of Valentina. Let's say for now you're going to do Steel City, right? And by default, this is already kind of opened up. You'll have a tab here, and I'll give you some information about how to run that in a later video. But this is going to be kind of where people look when they're in exploration mode. It's fancy, so when they're in the Endeavor Square and they say, well, let's go look at the tenements, you click on that, and it'll open up that part of the map. Like I said, spreadsheets can do anything. They're amazing. But we don't care about that right now. Right now, we've given people links to building their characters. We'll give people a couple of options for how to do that. One option, of course, is you'll let people kind of you'll tell people, okay, we're going to tell Bob, you want to use the Hunter 1 worksheet, and you'll simply load in your character data here. The other option is they'll go ahead and they'll use the character builder template, and then they'll go ahead and use this character exports to import the data from that other worksheet, just to load it right in. That's easier for a lot of people, harder for some people, but both of those options are available. So at this point, I'll stop this video and we'll move on to the next video. So at this point, we've made a local copy of the workbook. We've authorized the script, so you can do some of the automated stuff. We've set permissions, and we've set our Hollow. I guess the last thing I'll show is, like, if you do want to change it to Grisham Priory, for example, we'll click on open, and what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and just switch over to that worksheet. The important bit here is that the doom counter is going to be kind of set to look at whichever sheet you're using, right? So right now we've said we're going to use Grisham Priory. So at this point, the doom counter up here on Grisham Priory is what's going to get copied over and shared on our master grid worksheet. Again, getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but just as an FYI, if you use depending on whichever one you want to use, if you set it here, it'll set the formulas to work automatically, and then the open link will take you to that worksheet. We'll stop the video for now, and on the next video we'll talk a little bit about character creation and getting things set up for your players. See you then.